this is Jeff Cochell. We got the crystal kiwi. The Greek perspective, spiritual love. The concept of love is an important value, and the idea of it is a passionate spiritual attachment based on mutual admiration between one human being and another, like Eros and Aphrodite, did exist and in fact was a matter of philosophical discussion in the culture of classical Greece. I just want to say that the crystal kiwi's worth it to me. So take 3. God damn it. Kiwi, but this love was, I had a moment with Kiwi last night, or bingo, dude. Kiwi. I was tromming in sushi, I might be mentally ill, sad, dude. I had it with Athena, dude. It had little to do with this actual relationships between human beings in the ordinary context of their daily lives, and nothing to do with the institution of marriage. I also remember thinking, Catherine Hegel, dude, Skyline, dude. You're not. With Alex McGrain night vision, dude, on some site online, dude. Parenthetically, the point should be stressed at the outset. I do not wish to imply that sex is only justifiable in the context of love, or that love necessarily should eventuate in marriage. Obviously, sex, love, and marriage are 3 separate and distinct, though in some contexts, related phenomena. I shall elaborate on my view of the relationship later. Here it is perhaps love, but that romantic love implies sex, and not all loves necessarily entail marriage. But that marriage should entail love. This acknowledgement lets us continue. Despite the fact that much of Greek culture represents a worship of physical beauty, clearly evident in attitudes towards sex and love, was the view that a person was made of 2 disparate elements, flesh, which pertain to one's lower nature, and spirit, which pertains to one's higher nature. Let me do a shadow, dude. I experimented with Patricia Potter Efron today, and Spadio, which I remember in a dream, and I got Gail, dude. Athena, I forget, dude. Correlated the soul-body dichotomy was another division. That between reason and passion, reason was meant cool, uninvolved attachment, and passion was seen as necessary to represent a failure of reason. I also am wearing my brother's. This is for Greg Cochell, Rigger Russell Cochell. I'm wearing Cobblestone and Spice for you to redo. Nice, dude. The Greeks idolized the spiritual, not the carnal relationship between lovers. In the Greeks, this profound spiritual significantly love was possible only in the context of homosexual relationships, usually between older men and younger boys. I also got Susanna Haas and Juice Newton, dude. I think I'm gonna go for Zeus. God of the Immortals, dude, Olympiad. Dude. Although there is some dispute concerning the prevalence of homosexuality in Greece, like Athena, it is clearly much more prevalent in our own culture, and among many intellectuals came to regard it as expression of the highest type of the human emotion, while sexual desire apart from deeper feeling was often regarded as effeminate and unhealthy. Alright, this is Jeff Cochell. We got Spies here, a Christmas, a birthday gift. On the other hand, anti-feminism was a pronounced theme in the culture of classical Greeks. And although the Greeks were scarcely indifferent to heterosexual sex or female beauty, they viewed their interests as being void of ethical meaning or spiritual significance. The thing about Spice is I got it on my birthday, and I think it's good for my soul. Both Plato and Aristotle agreed that women were inferior to men in body and mind. Women were brought up to see themselves as subordinate to men in every visual aspect. They had very little status before the law. They required very little guardians. They shared almost none of the rights guaranteed to male Greek citizens. The practical economic functions that women had performed in earlier times were now largely performed by slaves. No longer men's partners in the struggles for survival. Women had less importance in a man's world. Except in its ideal essence as an elevating admiration which could only exist among men. Love was predominantly viewed as pleasurable, enjoyable gain, and amusement, a version of no importance of lasting significance. Crystal Kiwi is important to me. Passionate sexual love, when it appeared, was commonly regarded as a tragic madness. I don't know what that one is. Anna and Angela. An affliction that took possession of a man and carried him away from that calm, cool evasiveness of disposition so much admired by the Greeks. The notion of marrying for love was constantly as absent from the thinking of the Greeks as it was from the thinking of primitive man. Marriage, wrote the Greek poet Pallas, brings a man only 2 happy days: the day he takes in the bride to bed and the day he lays her in her grave. A wife was expensive, a burden, often a hindrance to a man's freedom, but it was generally held that a man owed it to the state and his religion to have children. He needed a housekeeper, and a new wife brought a dowry. Marriage was necessarily evil and a match between unequals. When we look at the development of man-woman relationships across the centuries, we see motion, progress, retrogression, detours, and forward motion again, something like the path of evolution itself. The emergence of a rational concept of romantic love has required a long process of development. This is one of my New Year's resolutions, dude. I got Marty Supreme and Death of a Unicorn, dude. Housemaid, dude, and Thunderbolts, dude. Nathaniel Brandon. I think I'm going for Stacey Center, dude. I'm older, dude. She was born in 1980, and Brandon is probably 80 or something, dude. God damn it, dude. Oh. The tribal mentality, the importance of an individual. Economics, not love. Kiwi was the motivating force for union in primitive societies. Indeed, virtually all hunting and agricultural societies. The family was a unit established for the purpose of optimizing the chance of physical survival. Man-woman relationships were conceived and defined not in terms of love or psychological need for emotional intimacy, but in terms of the practical needs associated with hunting, fishing, fighting, raising crops, childbearing, and so forth. So far we can ascertain in primitive cultures the idea of romantic love did not exist at all. The cardinal. Stick with me here, babies. We got Nathaniel Brandon, and ruling value was the survival of the tribe. The individual was subordinated to the tribe's needs, and rule is in virtually every aspect of life. This is the essence of tribal mentality. Little or no importance was granted to the worth of the individual personality and little or none to individual emotional attachments. This is Jeff Cochell. We got the Crystal Kiwi. We got Nathaniel Brandon, dude. It's January 4th, Saturday, 2025. Prologue, Love and Defiance. Stories of passionate love relationships between men and women exist throughout our literature and are a treasured part of our cultural heritage. The great love affairs of Lancelot and Guinevere, Helos and Abelard, Romeo and Juliet live for us as symbols of physical passion and spiritual devotion, but such stories are tragedies, and tragedies of a very revealing kind. Lovers are oppressive not because they typify their societies, but because they rebel against them. Lovers are memorable because they are unusual. Their love challenges the moral and social codes of their culture, and their stories are tragic because the lovers are defeated by those codes. Implicit in the tragic nature of these love stories, implicit in the fact that the lovers' commitment to each other represents a defiant, no flung in the face of their culture or society, is the fact that such love was not regarded as a normal way of life or an accepted cultural ideal. The ideal of romantic love stands in opposition to much of our history, as we shall see. First of all, it's individualistic. It rejects the view of human beings as interchangeable units, and it attaches the highest importance to individual differences as well as to individual choice. Romantic love is egoistic in the philosophical, not in the petty sense. Egoism is a philosophical doctrine, holds that self-realization or personal happiness are the moral goals of life, and romantic love is motivated by the desire of personal happiness. Romantic spiritual pleasure in sex and love, as well as in its union of romance and daily life. Romantic love is that passionate commitment to this earth and to be exalted happiness that life on earth can offer. The definition of romantic love offers an introduction of passionate spiritual, emotional, sexual attachment between a man and a woman that reflects a high regard for the value of each other's persons. It contains all the elements, and the importance will become more and more apparent as we proceed. Particularly, we shall come to appreciate how intimately related are the themes of individualism and romantic love. In that same context, we shall too reappraise the situation of selfishness, to move beyond conventional ways of thinking and recognize how indispensable to our life and well-being is rational intelligence or enlightened selfishness. And an honest respect for self-interest is a necessity for survival, and certainly of romantic love. The music that inspires the souls of lovers exists within themselves and the private universe they occupy. They share it with each other. They do not share it with the tribe or with the society. Encourage to hear that music and Kiwi and honor is one of the prerequisites of romantic love. The relevance of history, recurring themes. The evolution of man-woman relationships is part of the evolution of human consciousness. We carry the past within us, sometimes as an asset, sometimes as a liability. And we who live in the last third of the 20th century cannot fully understand the conflicts and blocks within our own psyche which obstruct our efforts to achieve happiness in love relationships unless we are conscious of our history, of the steps by which we arrived where we are today. I like to say of Jeff Cochell here, I have 4 days offline, I think, since the Guild. And with the Crystal Kiwi, I think with the psychology of romantic love, we're going for some nostalgic, a little New Year's another New Year's revolution. We're going to be 125. Active conviction.